Have you ever felt unsure about which exercises actually help you, and which ones might quietly be damaging your body without you even knowing it? Especially as we age, we become more vulnerable to subtle mistakes in our workouts. What you once did with ease in your 20s or 30s might now come with hidden risks to your spine, your joints, and your long-term mobility. And here's the worst part. Most dangerous movements don't hurt right away. The real damage happens silently, gradually, over weeks and months, until one day your back gives out, your shoulders seize up, or you end up wondering why simple things like reaching or bending suddenly cause pain. This video is here to help you avoid that. If you're over 50, 60, or even 70, and you're committed to staying active, strong, and independent, it's time to rethink some popular upper body exercises that are not only unnecessary, they could actually harm your spine, aggravate joint conditions, and increase your risk of serious injury. Today, you'll learn about 5 specific upper body exercises that might seem harmless, but are best avoided, especially if you have any form of bone thinning, arthritis, or spinal disc issues. You'll not only understand why these exercises can be dangerous, but you'll also see smarter, safer alternatives you can use instead. These modifications aren't about doing less, they're about training more intelligently so you can keep your strength without compromising your health. Let's start with the first one, the single arm overhead lift. You've probably seen this exercise before. Standing tall, someone grabs a dumbbell with one hand, lifts it straight up toward the ceiling, and repeats. On paper, it seems fine. It strengthens the shoulder, works the arm, and doesn't require much space. But here's where the danger begins, especially for those with bone loss or back sensitivity. When you raise a weight with only one arm, your body naturally leans slightly to the opposite side to stay balanced. This is called side bending, and it places uneven pressure along the spine. For younger, healthy spines, this might not seem like a big deal. But if your bones are thinning, or if you have a history of vertebral compression, this small movement becomes risky. Research has shown that even simple, unweighted side bending can increase the likelihood of compression fractures in vulnerable spines. Adding weight only multiplies the risk. Instead of lifting with one arm, opt for a controlled, two-handed overhead press. This symmetrical movement keeps your spine stable and your core engaged. It's been studied and shown to be safe even in older adults with reduced bone density, when done slowly and with proper form. Now let's move to a variation of that lift, the overhead weight transfer. This one is even riskier. Imagine holding a weight in one hand, raising it above your head, and then handing it off to your other hand mid-air. This dynamic movement demands coordination and perfect timing. And for someone with arthritis, joint instability, or reduced focus, this can be a disaster waiting to happen. Passing weight overhead without full control can easily lead to dropped objects, awkward twisting, or sudden jerks, any of which can strain your shoulders, neck, or back. And if the weight isn't balanced or slips, it could cause an impact injury or worse. Some instructors even recommend using objects like water jugs or household items if you don't have dumbbells. But anything you lift overhead should be secure and stable. Passing weight from hand to hand above your head offers almost no benefit that you can't achieve more safely with a two-handed lift. Let's move on to the third problematic exercise, the seated overhead press. This one is deceptively common. You sit down, pick up your weights, and push them up toward the ceiling. But what many people don't realize is that sitting places significantly more pressure on your spine than standing. In fact, studies have shown that sitting can increase pressure on the spinal discs by as much as 40%. Why is this important? Because that added pressure gets concentrated in your lower back, especially if you sit with your hips below your knees, which happens often with low benches or couches. This causes the spine to curve forward slightly, a position known as flexion. In people with fragile bones or disc problems, this flexed position under load can trigger what's called a biconcave fracture, where the center of the vertebra collapses from the inside, or a wedge fracture, where the front edge of the vertebra compresses and shortens. For those with disc herniations, this seated position is just as problematic. That same increased pressure pushes outward on already bulging discs, worsening the issue. The result? Pain, reduced mobility, and potentially a long recovery. The solution is simple. If you want to do overhead lifts, do them while standing. Standing encourages better posture, better core engagement, and far less stress on the lower back. Just be sure to keep your knees soft, your core tight, and your spine neutral. Fourth on the list is the double arm resistance band row, with feet parallel. Resistance bands are great tools. They're light, portable, and effective. But when used incorrectly, they can lead to sudden, jarring injuries. One of the most common mistakes is performing a two-arm row with both feet side by side. Here's the problem. When you pull the band back and your feet are parallel, there's very little support behind you. If the band breaks, or if you lose your grip, you can fall backward or stumble. And when you're pulling with force, that sudden loss of resistance can throw your balance off entirely. The safer version? Use a staggered stance. Place one foot forward, one foot behind, and bend your knees slightly. This gives you a stable base of support. Not only does it protect you from a snapped band, but it also trains your balance and posture at the same time. Finally, let's talk about the seated bicep curl. This is a staple in many routines, sitting on a bench, curling dumbbells upward. But again, we run into the same issues caused by sitting: increased spinal disc pressure, forward flexion of the spine, and reduced support for your lower back. It's especially dangerous when the knees are positioned higher than the hips, a common mistake on low chairs or benches. And here's what often happens. After completing their curls, most people bend forward from the waist to put the weights down on the floor. That rounding movement, combined with heavy dumbbells, places immense stress on the spine. For individuals with weakened bones or herniated discs, this creates the perfect storm for injury. So what should you do instead? Stand for your curls. Or if you need to sit, choose a high, supportive chair that keeps your hips above your knees, and always keep your spine upright and supported. When you're done, don't bend forward to drop the weights. Stand up and lower them safely. Let's quickly review everything. Avoid single-arm overhead lifts. They cause side bending and stress the spine. Skip any overhead movement that involves passing weight hand to hand. It's unstable and risky. Don't press overhead while sitting. Doing so increases spinal pressure and risks fractures. Never row with bands while standing flat-footed and parallel. Use a staggered stance for safety, and stay away from seated curls on low chairs. Opt to stand or use a supported seat with proper posture. Each of these exercises may look innocent. They may even be popular. But for older adults, or anyone managing arthritis, disc issues, or bone thinning, they can lead to long-term problems that are completely avoidable. You don't have to stop training. You just have to train smarter. Your body is your lifelong partner. It's carried you through every chapter so far. The choices you make today, what you lift, how you move, determine the quality of your next decades. So be smart, stay strong, and above all, stay safe. Thanks for watching.